Welcome back to the Media7 Summer Series, where I'm discussing social media and what's next with Nat Talkington, Helen Daxter and Vaughan Davis. Nat, there's one reliable mainstream media story that happens every now and then, and that is when Facebook changes its privacy settings. Privacy is really important in this environment, isn't it?
Critically. If you look at the role of something like Facebook, it's to walk a fine line between respecting our privacy and sharing the things that we tell it. So we tell it who our friends are, we tell it where we live, we tell it where we went to school, we tell it, here are some photos of me, here's what I was doing today. And if it shared those with the world, you might be horrified. If it didn't share them at all, you wouldn't use the service. So there's a little line that it has to navigate. Now the trouble is, it is always being pushed towards the side of more disclosure, because that's where advertising revenue is, that's where it perceives that more utility is, more use is. So it will always be trying to do things like revise the way that it handles privacy, and then when it pops up the new configuration screen, it says, here are the recommended settings. Not recommended for your privacy, recommended for our business model.
Yes, right.
Right.
Because the more information they've got to show people, the better it is for them, the more pages they can serve with ads.
Exactly, yes.
Right.
That's exactly what's going on. So it's all a bit dodgy. I mean, and most people, I think, aren't aware of the business model behind the scenes of the more that we can show about you, the more we know about you, the better our ads will be. So that you end up with people just saying things like, well, yeah, sure, if I post pictures of my cock to Facebook, I mean, Facebook's not going to share that with anyone, is it? I mean, they're going to look at it and go,
it depends on your privacy settings.
Bloody idiot, I think, would be the setting for that, wouldn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, yes. Helen, I wonder whether we've already gotten used to surrendering privacy to a degree that we might not have thought possible even 10 years ago. I mean, you look at kids on Bebo are writing private things in public spaces all the time now, aren't they?
Oh, completely. I mean, every time you write something on the internet, it is there forever somewhere. You only have to look at the Wayback Machine, where you can go way back to 1998 and read contents of websites that no longer exist. There's archives everywhere. So you have to be very, very careful and think every time you write something, would I be happy my boss seeing this? Would I be happy my grandma seeing this? And if you're not, just don't post it.
I think the other thing that's occurred to me recently is, would I be happy for an opportunistic burglar to see this? One of the, as we move more and more towards location-based social networking, it's going to be easier and easier for people to know where you are. Yeah, you're saying where you are, but you might be doing it as part of a game called Foursquare, for example. So, if Nat says, I'm at Japo's ice cream parlour, and he said, 200 tweets back enough. He's geotagged himself at his house and shown a view from his lounge room that shows his lovely television. Well, if he's at Japo's ice cream parlour, I'll go and nick his TV. And it's that headline is going to be written. It's going to be written in the next few weeks. Twitter burglary. Yes,
I can actually recall Nat pointing out something that it's become quite difficult to get to come up with good password reminders, because you can't use your mother's maiden name and you can't use your pet's name because you've told everyone what they are. I wonder whether this is to some degree, though, I mean, we're talking about what we're doing, whether this is going to be the year where it stops being about us. I mean, when you look at the growth of Facebook in Indonesia last year, 1 million to 14 million users, and it seems to have made a genuine political impact there, we tend to forget that there's so much room for growth for these services in non-Western countries.
Completely, there's a huge growth, and you're starting to see how it's affecting countries politically, because it's the first time in some areas where people have been able to collaboratively organise protests. And of course, with mobile phones, people can literally organise protests on the fly. I mean, we've seen this with flash mobbing. I think we're going to see flash protesting a lot more, where people come demonstrate, photographic evidence is got posted, and then people disappear before the police can even react to it. Yeah. So it does give people the ability to stay one step ahead of the machine, as it were, which can only be a good thing. So I do see that social media and mobile smartphones have democratised so many different areas which would not have been possible beforehand. And you look at how many people now are sending in eyewitness reports from breaking news stories. I mean, I think this is, I think, what really pushed it into the public consciousness last year was some of the events, such as the plane landing on the, in America on the river. Yeah, I mean, it was eyewitness reports from the plane, and that really captured people's imaginations, I think. And suddenly people realised that I'm actually carrying a device in my pocket that can be taking photos and videos, and you just look at, there was some guy who was arrested somewhere, and he tweeted, he just managed to get a tweet out, and he was out within 3 days. The person who's arrested with him was still in jail 3 months later. So you can see that this is very exciting and can only be a good thing.
I think what brought that home for me was, when we first started seeing little green avatars popping up everywhere for, democracy in Iran.
Yes.
And then 6 months later, Twitter went down, and it was taken down, hacked by the Iranian cyber army. So, elements either aligned with or within the Iranian government considered it such a powerful force for democracy that rather than, put a plane into a skyscraper, they took down Twitter.
And you only have to look at the blackout campaign that happened in New Zealand last year about the copyright law that was coming through to see how quickly you can go from a group of people campaigning to it's spreading throughout the whole world. Seeing those black avatars all over.
And I think that was a revelation to the people involved. I don't
Completely.
think that a lot of those people had ever thought of this as being what they were doing as being useful rather than just gossip. So, Nat, what's the next thing? Is there a next thing? Is there a next platform?
See, if I knew what the next platform would be, I'd be investing in it. Yes. I wouldn't be telling you about it. All I know is that we're looking at a move now towards social advertising. So it's the way advertising like Google search results currently work is that Google looks at which pages point to which other pages. And if a lot of pages point to one page, then that must be a pretty bloody important page. So the words that it uses, that page should be pretty high up on the results for those words. However, that's led to a huge amount of gaming. People build web pages on the net just to point to their pages that they want to have high up on the search results. A lot of artificial web pages, artificial content, a lot of deceit. So the more genuine search result is one that my friends recommend. When I look for a good place to live in Auckland, I could search for a good place to live in Auckland, and I find all the opinions of everybody on the internet. Losers, smart people, marketing companies, the whole 9 yards, like a bit of everything. So much better would be to have my friends tell me what the best place to live in Auckland is. And the chances are that you've said at some point in the history on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever, what's the best place to live in Auckland. God, I can't wait to live in West Auckland. It's the best place to live.
So this is maybe a more formalised version of what I think all of us probably do with Twitter. We go, Dear Hive Mind or Dear Lazy Web, and you ask a question of a trusted group. You're saying that someone like Google will be able to do an enhanced
you would go to Google and you would say, best place to live in Auckland or best ice cream in Auckland or any question for which there's an answer. And Google will use the same techniques that it's used before to pick apart the question and figure out what things are good answers, but it will weight the various options based on whether you've talked about it, whether you've pointed to the web page or not. And so with that kind of social recommendations, pushing things up or dragging them down, you'll get a search results that much better reflect what your interests are, because the assumption is your friends probably share some of those interests too.
So just briefly, it seems that if that's the way it's going to go, then having control of that common online ID is going to be really important, isn't it? And Google has a head start there. Because you log into your Gmail with it, you log into YouTube with you.
So they know what your email says, but they've, until recently, not known what Facebook or Twitter has said. And it's only recently that a large amount of money has changed hands to give Google access to Twitter and to Facebook. And I guess Bing doing the same thing, that would be right,
Because I think real-time search, that really is the most powerful usage of what I see as a channel. Twitter to me is a platform and a channel rather than an application. And the ability through keyword tagging to do real-time search around specific brand names or events or whatever, it's literally being able to take the pulse of the planet and see what the world's talking about at that time around that subject.
Well, we will have to move on now, but thank you to you all. Now, as we've known, that what happens in the new media has an impact on established media too. Simon Pound looks at an intriguing cross-media venture with NZ On Air's support.
Reality Dags is all about inspiring you on a daily basis.
Yes, it is. Reality Dags is about inspiration. You can check out any of these videos 365 days a year, new one every day, and you can get a little buzz, very short, little buzz, and you'll feel good.
Indeed. Rattle Your Dags is a daily motivation project made by two heads, Nick and James. It is a result of a New Zealand On Air initiative funding online-only content. In it, interesting and prominent New Zealanders share experiences and wisdom.
Hello, I'm Phil Gifford, and I've been lucky enough to make a living in the media for the last 40 years. If you're putting on a happy face for other people eventually it'll turn around and smile at you as well and make you happy, and then everybody has a good time.
If you're not happy with your lot in life and you want to blame someone else, look out the window. But if you want to get ahead, accept responsibility, look in the mirror.
If you compare yourself with others, you'll either come up with great disappointment or a false sense of joy that lasts a very short amount of time. So don't compare yourself with others.
Whatever you're doing, just make sure it's not the same as anybody else.
Not one person got paid. It was all ringing out, hello, this is what we're doing. It's New Zealand on Air focus. We're trying to get New Zealanders to inspire other New Zealanders. And so many people were just like, I'm in, why not?
Give something back.
You know?
But this isn't cheesy motivation.
Yeah, because I suppose motivation, we had a lot of trouble trying to work out what, it's a dirty word. People were like, oh, motivation, I don't want to be a part of that.
Hello, my name is Oliver Driver, and if you want to call me something, you can call me an artist. Okay, here's Oliver's philosophy of how to have a good life. Imagine that you're the lead actor in a feature film that's about you, right? So I'm an Oliver, and it's a film about me, and I'm the lead, and my girlfriend is sort of co-lead, and the guy at the dairy's just an extra. But if you can always remember that in the guy at the dairy's film, he's the lead actor, and you're just an extra. And so when you go into the dairy, if you treat him like a lead actor, or when you go to the New Zealand check-in counter, or when you go anywhere, you treat them like a lead actor, and they suddenly feel good, because no one wants to be treated like an extra. And if you do that, if you start to treat everybody like lead actors, your film becomes choice.
Broadcaster Nick D was one of those approached.
You know, I'm no Tony Robbins. I've got much more, my teeth are way more bunga. Need to sort that out. But it's just, I guess, you know, I think everybody can learn something from every single person on this earth. They've amassed a really, really great bunch of people. And I was watching it myself and went, damn, I feel inspired.
Nick made Making Tracks with Two Heads, the great music show.
Making Tracks sees one country's chart-topping hits reinterpreted by musicians around the world.
Other productions from them have included Girl Racers, Vodafone Cheerleaders, and Nikki Watson Calendar Girl. This is a bit different.
There's no bikinis. There's very little music. There's no drunk Santas. There's no cars. Nothing
to do with what we've done before.
It is also different in that it's made for non-TV places.
And that's, I suppose, the biggest base of the whole Radio Dags idea is putting stuff on the website, on our website, and then on your Facebooks, your MySpaces, your Twitters, your Vimeos, your Bebos, your whatevers, and so people can take that and they can share that. Because it's no point in people just watching it and going, that's just good for me. It's better for them to give it to their friends and their friends to be motivated and all that sort of stuff.
And along the way, the motivational messages have touched the makers.
And we had Tony Christensen, who came in and was just left us all with goosebumps on it. He's climbed K2. He's done the most amazing things, and he's double amputee.
I'm a successful businessman, best-selling author, pilot, qualified lifeguard, second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, Olympic gold medalist, and adventurer. I'm Tony Christensen.
We went for his motivational tip. We started wide, and you suddenly realised he had absolutely no legs. You went, right, he's done all those things, and now he's talking to me, and he's sitting in a wheelchair, and we just all were just blown away by what he had to say.
We are in a world where we accept no and we accept can't. People come to us and say, no, you can't do that, and we go, oh, okay. You decide.
And so many people actually almost said the opposite of each other, which is really cool. We had one where Chris Graham said,
one of my favourite quotes comes from the classic old Confucius, which is, he who loves his job never works a day in his life.
Dave from Elemento P came in and said,
a lot of people say, find something you love doing and you'll never work another day in your life. Well, I have to be quite honest and say that just simply is not the case with me at all. In fact, the exact opposite, because I found something I love doing and I ended up working harder than I ever thought humanly possible.
You can't write that, you can't plan for that, you don't know who's going to do that, and that was really cool, just having people surprise us.
So check out rattleyourdags.co.nz for a clever project that's gone even better than they hoped.
So this is rattleyourdags.co.nz, your daily kick in the pants.
You're going to say like, rally your dags!
Rattle your dags, you monk!
Oh no, I shouldn't say mungle.
Rattle your dags!
.co.nz.
Does he probably sound to a sheep?
Simon Pound with that report, and that concludes this week's look ahead at Digital 2010. Thanks to Nat Talkington, Helen Baxter and Vaughan Davis, and to our gadget man Ben Gracewood. We'll be back with you from the winery next week. Until then, goodbye.